Okay, here we are, folks, week 4 of the second 6 weeks. And what are we going to do? Well, we're going to start a new unit. It's the beginning of November. It's November. It's the beginning of November, and we are going to start a new unit, 2 new units this week. Now, we can't forget the rhythm. We still got to add that in at the end just because I need you to remember those rhythms because we're going to do something with it. But I need to introduce these other 2 things first. So let me tell you what we're going to do this fourth week of the second 6 week. We're going to sing a couple songs, normal songs, nothing crazy, nothing great, nothing fancy, just normal songs. And then we're going to start talking about holiday traditions, and there's going to be an assignment with holiday traditions. And then we're going to start a whole new unit, which is normal for 6th graders. We're going to talk about musical time periods, and then we might hit rhythms at somewhere in those things. I'll fit it in. All right, so are we ready for week 4? I want you to have a good time. I want you to love music. That is my goal, not for you to go, oh man, I got to do music and I hate this and this. I don't want it to be that way. I have things I have to teach you, but it should be fun. So let's go with it as an attitude of this is going to be great and let's get her done. All right.
Looking up to heaven above, thinking of the ones we love. Blessings ours both great and small. It's Thanksgiving time. Thanks for our country, people who care. Thanks for the freedom that we share. Pass on the gift to all mankind. It's Thanksgiving time. Looking up to heaven above, thinking of the ones we love. Blessings ours both great and small. It's Thanksgiving time. Thanks for our country, people who care. Thanks for the freedom that we share. Pass on the gift to all mankind. It's Thanksgiving time. Thanks for our country, people who care. Thanks for the freedom that we share. Pass on the gift to all mankind. It's Thanksgiving time. Pass on the gift to all mankind. It's Thanksgiving time.
Everyone's coming to stay. They've been driving all day, coming from so far away, just to get here and be together with all of our family. And I'm thinking that we absolutely agree that this is our favorite time of the year, when we take the time to say thanks for all of the things that are good in our lives. There's a million ways we can celebrate.
In every country, rich or poor, past or present, wherever there are or have ever been people, you will find their traditions. We all have our own traditions. Some we celebrate with other people in our culture, some we celebrate just with family and friends. But whenever you think of traditions, try to think of them as things we do routinely that are special to us. Cultural traditions are traditions that we celebrate with our culture or with the larger community around us. And some examples include Halloween, or gifts at Christmas, or even family dinner on Thanksgiving, and so on. But family traditions are a little different. Those are special things we do with our friends and family, like birthdays or road trips, family vacations or camping trips, or even simpler things like having a special night of the week where you play board games, or even just getting together with a group of friends and barbecuing when it's nice out. People have traditions that celebrate all sorts of different things. Many are religious, and many, the original meanings have long been forgotten. But what's important about traditions is that they are a celebration of the time we spend with the people we love. And those simple family celebrations are from years of getting together and sharing love and laughter together.
Celebrate. All around the world, people celebrate holidays. Each holiday has a special meaning and special ways to celebrate. Friends and families gather together on holidays. Food, games, gifts, prayer, singing, and telling stories may all be part of the celebrations. Chinese New Year. The Chinese New Year celebrates springtime. Many of this holiday's traditions are meant to bring good luck in the new year. People put good luck sayings in their homes. They make sure their homes are very clean. Red and orange are the colors of the Chinese New Year. People wear these colors to keep bad luck away. Young people receive money wrapped in red paper. Special foods such as oranges are also thought to bring good luck. Holi. Holi is a Hindu holiday. It celebrates the end of winter and the beginning of spring. Holi is a time to laugh and play. People build bonfires during this holiday. The ashes from the bonfires are thought to bring good luck. Color is a big part of the Holi celebration. People decorate their homes with bright colors. Everyone wears colorful clothing. Friends toss colored powder and colored water on each other. Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr. Ramadan is a special month for Muslims. They honor their faith with thoughts and prayer. People do not eat or drink while the sun is up during Ramadan. After the sun sets, friends and family have a meal together. The holiday of Eid al-Fitr happens at the end of Ramadan. This holiday may last for 1, 2, or 3 days. People gather in a large group and offer a special prayer. Families have a feast and give gifts. They also give money to people in need. Day of the Dead. On Day of the Dead, people remember loved ones who have died. This fall celebration comes from Mexico and lasts for 3 days. People clean up the graves of loved ones. Some families have picnics at the graves. During Day of the Dead, people leave gifts for loved ones who have died. Families gather to tell happy stories about those people. They also celebrate with colorful parades. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a harvest celebration. It began with the first people who came from England to North America. Families gather to give thanks for the good in their lives. Family members often come from far away. People share a special meal and enjoy each other's company. Turkey, stuffing, cranberries, and pumpkin pie are Thanksgiving foods. After the meal, people often say what they are thankful for. Hanukkah. Hanukkah is an 8-day holiday celebrated by Jewish people. This holiday celebrates a time long ago when oil in a lamp burned for 8 days. People light one candle for each night of Hanukkah. The Hanukkah celebration includes songs and games. Children play a game with a top called a dreidel. They receive a small gift each night of the holiday. People decorate their homes with the Hanukkah colors of blue and white. Christmas. People of the Christian faith celebrate Christmas every year on December 25th. This holiday celebrates the birth of the Christian Son of God. People decorate fir trees with lights and ornaments. They also decorate their houses and yards. Red and green are traditional Christmas colors. Presents are placed under a fir tree. People often open presents on Christmas morning. A special Christmas dinner happens later in the day. Music is also important during this holiday. Groups of people walk through neighborhoods singing Christmas songs called carols. Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa celebrates the traditions of Americans whose families came from Africa long ago. This harvest holiday in late December lasts for 7 days. People light a candle for each day of Kwanzaa. They decorate their homes with red, black, and green. People celebrate Kwanzaa with stories, songs, gifts, and special meals. Gifts are meant to help children become strong members of their family and community. The gifts also remind children to honor African traditions. Winter solstice. Winter solstice is the first day of winter. It is the shortest day of the year. Native Americans and many other groups celebrate this day. Winter solstice honors the return of sunlight after a dark time. Many holidays. These are just a few of the holidays people celebrate around the world. Holidays are a special time to celebrate with family and friends. They are also a time to give thanks for our lives and our traditions. What is your favorite holiday?
Well, what did you think? Had you heard of some of those traditions from around the world? And there's more to come. We're going to be talking more about traditions. It's just going to be a unit that we're going to do. But here's what I want you to do. I want to hear about your holiday traditions. So I want you to pick one, your most favorite holiday tradition. It doesn't have to be Thanksgiving. It doesn't have to be Christmas. Whatever holiday that you count as a tradition. What is a tradition? Let's go over that. A tradition is things we do routinely that are special to us, something that you do over and over and over again that is special to you and your family. All right, so you got to pick one tradition, one, and you'll go, oh, I'm sorry. Don't kill me. You have to write me an essay on your holiday, your favorite holiday tradition. Now, if you're on Quaver, the very next screen is a file with a writing guideline on what I expect to see in your essay. Do I expect to see paragraphs? Yes. Do I expect to see good punctuation and capitalization and spelling? Yes, I do. I'm a teacher. What else would I expect? Do I expect for you to have a good introduction, a good hook at the beginning to grab your reader and get them to read more? Yes. A good body that has all of your details in order and using good transition words and different types of sentences where they don't all start with the or something like that. Yes, I do. I expect all of that. And then a good conclusion, just wrapping it all up at the end. I know about those things. I expect to see those in your essay. Now, how do you submit your essay to me? You can submit it through Schoology. You can type it out if you want. You don't even have to handwrite it. You can type it out if you want. If you want to handwrite it, take a picture of it, scan it, whatever, and send it to me. That's fine. If you want to type it out, that's fine too. As long as I can read it and understand it, we're all good. All right. Now, if you're not doing this through Claver, you're doing this through a video, you can do the same thing. That I will have a file in the thing that you can download and look at that guideline, that rubric that I'm looking for. All right. Is everybody ready to write me? I'm so excited. I get to know you better by knowing one of your favorite family traditions. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready to read them. I can't wait. All right. So get to writing. Use that old noodle for something. Here we go.
My paddles keen and bright, flashing like silver, follow the walker's flight, dip, dip, and swing. Dip, dip, and swing it back, flashing like silver, swift as the walker's flight, dip, dip, and swing. The morning, it greets us, earth is our friend. Our journey through water begins again. My paddles keen and bright, flashing like silver, follow the walker's flight, dip, dip, and swing. Dip, dip, and swing it back, flashing like silver, swift as the water's flight, dip, dip, and swing. Dip, dip, and swing. The blue sky surrounds the river it bends. We follow its winding, darkness descends. Hey, Ayana, hey, Ayana, hey, Ayana, hey, hey, Ayana, hey, Ayana, hey, Ayana, hey. Hey Yana, 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 hey. Swift as the wild goose flight, hey Yana, hey.
All right, we are going to be looking at a new unit here in November on Native Americans, and we are going to be looking at a few songs and traditions from them. So we're going to start with a song called the Rabbit Song, and the Rabbit Song is from the Cheyenne people. So it's going to sound really tough at first, but it's short. It's short, and we'll get it, I promise. So let's look at it.
Fog
would look at the history of this song. The history of this song, although no one knows the exact origin, traditionally this song has been sung to help keep Cheyenne babies comfortable and happy. While singing the song, the mother would bounce the baby on her knee, gently lifting the little one in the air, then playfully lowering the baby near the end of the song. The lyric about throwing the rabbit out refers to soiled diapers being thrown out. Traditionally, diapers were made from rabbit or other small animal pelts. And the tribal history of the Cheyenne people. When they first made contact with Europeans, the Cheyenne lived in an area which is now called Minnesota. In the early 18th century, that's the 1700s, they migrated west across the Mississippi River into North and South Dakota. Around 1730, after settling in the Black Hills of South Dakota and the Powder River country of Montana, they introduced the horse culture to the Lakota bands. The Cheyenne Nation descended from two related tribes. The Tustischu and the Sutai were both represented by two cultural heroes. According to their legend, each of these heroes received a divine object from the great spirits that shaped the belief system. The belief system of the Cheyenne. The Southern Cheyenne, whose cultural hero was named Sweet Medicine, cared for and protected the bundle of sacred arrows, which represented food and protection. The Northern Cheyenne, whose cultural hero was named Tomsivi, cared for and protected the sacred buffalo hat that blessed and brought renewal to the tribes. Now, it's going to take me just a couple of seconds to pull it up, but I want to look at some rhythms that we are going to be, oh yeah, I had to bring rhythms in somewhere, didn't I? We are going to look at some rhythms that we are going to be adding to this song. So give me just a second to find them. All right, the crazy thing about a lot of Native American music is they have what we call mixed meter. Now let's go back and remind ourselves what a meter is. A meter is a group of beats. You know, the beats are grouped together. It tells you how many beats are in that group, right? All right, so it can be in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strong, weak, weak, weak. 1, 2, 3. It could be in 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. It can be in 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Are they only in 2, 3, and 4? No, but those are the most used ones, and 4 is the most common. All right. But in Native American music, they have a mixed meter. That means they may start out in 3 and change to 2 and then go back to 3. And in this song, that's what happens. We're going to look at it. We have 3 different lines. So let's discuss that for a second. The top line, you see the pink here? You look up here at the chart, the pink is for vocal or for the singers. It's on a 5-line 4-space staff. Remember, the 5 lines and the 4 spaces, they give you the pitches. Every good boy does fine, FACE, those are the pitches that the people sing. That's why the singers have to be on a regular 5-line 4-space staff. Now, the one underneath it has a line, 1 line. That means they're all the middle of the road. And if you look up here at the chart, that is a shaker, a maraca, or something like that. And then the last line has no line whatsoever. And it is green and it is for drum. So let's look at the blue line, the shaker line first. Do you see this little axe? It's a little like less than sign, a little arrow. in that in music, it's an accent mark. An accent mark means that that note gets a little bit more emphasis. It's just a little stronger than the others, and there's two of them. So instead of having strong, weak, weak, we have strong, strong, weak. And we are in the meter of 3. So you have strong, strong, weak, strong, strong, weak, strong, strong, weak, strong, strong, weak, strong, strong, weak. Flip the page. The next page, we move to the meter of 2. And you go T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T ta 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 ta, and we go back to the meter of 3. We have a first ending. If you have a first ending, that means there's going to be more than one. So you have a whole rest, and you repeat. You go back to the beginning, and you repeat ta 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 T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T ta 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 ta. The second time you jump over the first ending to the second ending, and you go ta ta. Now those 3 lines mean you take that shaker and you go and shake it as fast as you can for that amount of beats. Let's look at the drum line. The drum line is ta 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 t t t t t. I'm sorry, accents on 1. T t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t t ta 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 ta. Shh shh. Repeat. Go back to the beginning, and you do it again. So I want you to do with me the shaker line, the blue line, the one in the middle. Let's see. I cannot adjust the tempo. It is what makes this hard is they've played it really, really fast. And it's not letting me adjust the tempo. Oh yeah, it does right here. Let's slow it down just a little bit until we learn it. Let's see if taking it to 120 is any better. All right, so here we go. All you can do, use your hands. You can find 2 things. You can use them as drumsticks. I don't care. Let's just get this rhythm going. Here we go. And you're going to hear it at the beginning. That's your beat. So make sure you get that beat in your head. Did you keep up with it? It's hard. I am not joking. I know it's hard because I've practiced. I had to practice. And when a teacher has to go through something a couple of times and realize they need to slow it down some, you know it's going to be tough. And it's just because it's not something we're used to, and changing those meters. Let's try that bottom line, the green one. Ta ta. Should be easier because there's less notes. 1, 2, 3. That drum part's a little bit easier than that shaker part. All right, pretty good. I'm proud of you. So let's switch back to what we were doing. All right, we're going to talk about animal wood carvings. The history of them in Native American and indigenous traditions. Animals can communicate values, spiritual beliefs, and personal, family, and clan stories. Representations of animals in objects symbolize those values, beliefs, and stories. The name totem pole was created by people of European descent to describe the carved wooden poles or pillars created by the Tlingit, the Haida, the Shimshia, or the Kwakiutl, something like that, people in the Pacific Northwest. The Haida called these Gaang. The carvings represented family histories, including stories about ancestors and supernatural beings. The poles are often made from red cedar, a tree common in the Pacific Northwest. The device called the diverse cultures of the First Nation peoples in the Pacific Northwest is demonstrated in many different styles of carvings. Representations of animals with symbolic meanings can be found on these poles, but can also be found carved and painted on instruments. These poles can range from 10 feet all the way up to 65 feet tall. Now, a lot of times, these totem poles were a representation of the people, and they could remember parts of their history from them. It was a way for them to notate their history. Okay, let's look at some vocabulary words. Okay, vocabulary. You have beat, rhythm, meter, measure, folk song, ostinato, tone poem, symphonic poem. We've had all those. Look at the bottom. Quarter note, half note, whole note, eighth notes, dotted half notes, 16th notes. You've had all those. The one in the section in the middle, you have not had yet. And that would be all those musical time periods. And that's what we're going to cover next. Maybe. All right. The last part of our lesson for the day. We are going to be looking at musical time periods. It is something that all sixth graders should be learning. It is a state standard. Why do we wait till sixth grade? We can touch on it in elementary school, but we have to wait until your brain has developed just enough and your ears have developed just enough for you to be able to listen to all those little special things that come in that we need you to listen for and understand what's going on in the music. We're going to be looking at those time periods, and we're going to be looking at all the differences and what makes the music what it is in those time periods. I love it. It is so interesting. I've enjoyed going back and working through this and just rethinking all this stuff again so that I can teach it to you guys. I've had so much fun, and it's got some great music. It's got some fantastic music. So I can't wait to introduce you to time periods. And we're going to be doing time periods for a little bit. So be ready for those. All right. I hope you enjoyed as much as I have. Hey, as we think about musical traditions, we start looking at time periods in music throughout history and the way people wrote music during those sections of time periods. We even went as far as we gave those time periods later on in the 20th century. We went back and gave those specific lumps of time period names to represent the way people wrote during those time periods. So we're going to be looking at a few of those time periods. Let's start. You know me, it's going to take me just a second to get everything switched over. I'm going to do this. There we go. We're going to start looking at these different periods of time in history where we've lumped music together. You see the medieval period. It's approximately, these aren't like it starts on January 1st and it ends on December 31st. No, it's an approximate 800 to 1450. Now, let's look at the music in that medieval time period. The music in that medieval time period were mainly what we called monophonic. Now, let's break down that word and see what it means. Mono means one, and phonic means sound. One sound. I'm going to slip it to this slide. Medieval period from 800 to 1450, a period characterized mainly by music of the church and traveling poet musicians. Now, those traveling poet musicians were called troubadours, and also often those troubadours were messengers sent out by the kings and stuff to take messengers, and they would sing and travel as they go. All right, so let's listen to some monophonic church music. Now you see a church and you see some monks, and it was typical of that type of music. Now, were there no other music around but this kind of music? No, I'm sure there were folk music and folk songs of that day and that time period. But we're talking about the whole basics of music. All right, so let's look at our chart again. The next time period is the Renaissance period, from 1450 to roughly 1450 to 1600. Now, the Renaissance period is a period of what we call rebirth. They're just rethinking everything and restarting everything, and everything was starting new. Experimented with music and art and literature and a lot of those things during this time period. Let's look at the picture. This is the time of kings and knights and peasants and nobles and just these little kingdoms here, there, and yonder. Let's listen to the difference in the music. Now, you remember the monophonic music that we listened to from the medieval period. Let's listen to the music of the Renaissance.
Sing of if ever thou didst find a woman with a constant mind, none but one, and what should that rare mirror be? Some goddess or some queen is she? She, and only she.
All right, definitely not monophonic. More than one sound, several things going on, this whole conglomeration, close-knit movement of music. All right, so let's go back to our original post. Okay, the Baroque period is next, from 1600 to 1750. Now, in the Baroque period, there's some of the main composers of the Baroque period. We have Bach, Vivaldi, and Handel were three of the main composers during this time period. Let's look at what it says about the Baroque period. A period of history from 1600 to 1750 that emphasized fancy music, art, fashion, and architecture. Their stuff is just so fancy. that it's almost to the point where it's gaudy. They just, as much as they could put in and as many twirls and twirls and swirls and stuff that they could get in, they added. So let's listen to just a little bit of the music of the Baroque period. Now remember, we started out with just that monophonic one sound, and here's where we've come in that time period. All right, they've taken this whole more than one sound to a whole new level with all these really as much as they could put in. And notice, this was not a vocal piece. This was an instrumental piece, which is different than what we've already listened to. Instruments started coming to big play in the Baroque period. A lot of instruments being created. All right, so let's go back to that original slide. So we've done the medieval, the Renaissance, the Baroque. Now we're going to look at what the classical. There is a time period that's called classical music from 1750 to 1820. Most people, when they hear anything that's not something you would hear on the radio, they automatically deem it as classical music. But there is a classical time period from 1750 to 1820. Now, that classical time period, they got so tired of all the frills and all the extras that they put in the Baroque period that they're trying to back it off some. So let's look at, did I pull up the right one? I did. The classical time period, their main composers, three of them, were Mozart, Haydn, notice how I said that, not Haydn, Haydn and Beethoven. Mozart, Haydn, and Beethoven. Let's look and see what it says about the classical period. It is a period of music that emphasized balance, order, and back to simplicity, away from all those frills and trills. Let's listen to music from the actual classical time period. I bet you've heard this one before, haven't Can I give you a little hint? I really like the classical time period. I like that instrumental music. I just find it very soothing and beautiful. And you may have heard that one before, right? All right. So let's continue. We've looked at the medieval, the Renaissance, the Baroque, the classical, and now that period that we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks, the Romantic time period, from roughly 1820 to 1910, 1920 area, somewhere around there. Okay, remember what I said about the Romantic time period. It is that time period that, which one is it? Is it that one? Yes. They want the drama. They want the emotion. They want the passion in their music. Here are 3 of the main composers from that time period. You have Wagner. Now, notice how it's pronounced that. The W is pronounced as a V. Wagner, Brahms, and Schumann. Wagner, Brahms, and Schumann. Flip it one more. The Romantic Period, a period that emphasized passion, drama, and emotion in music. Let's go back and let's listen to music. We've listened to music all the way up. Let's listen real carefully and see if you can hear the differences in this music. This is by Wagner. All right, so this music, this particular song that you're listening to is by Wagner, Ride of the Valkyries. It goes along with that, creating a story in your head, and I'm sure you may have heard this piece before too. Can you hear the differences in the pieces of music? I hope you can. Now, the last period, let's go back to our original slide. The last period, you see this impressionistic and then the modern? Really, Impressionism, yeah, it started towards the late 1800s. But I'm going to branch those two together because modern music went a whole bunch of different directions. And it started with this whole impressionistic idea. So, what is impressionism? Well, let's look at the word impression. What is an impression? Well, look at this picture. An impression. You see the stamp making an impression in the clay. Is it an actual stamp? No, it's an impression. A dime making an impression in the clay. Is it a real dime? No, it's just a kind of an impression of a dime. The button, the finger, the fingerprint. They're there and you can see them, but they don't have clear sides. It's kind of wavy and hazy. Let's see. I thought I saved another slide, but I don't see it. Let me find it real quick. The best way to explain this is through the artwork in the Impressionistic time period. So let's look at some of this artwork. Look at this. You can tell what it is, but do you see how it's kind of hazy? There's no really big definitions or outlines or anything like that. It's all hazy. So it kind of gives you the impression of this lake and this boat and this sunset. Does that make sense? Let's look at the next picture. Okay, this gives you the impression of a train station. You kind of see the things, but it's not a whole lot of huge outlines. It's all hazy and smoky. I love this one. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. You have your water lilies and the bridge and the trees in the background, but yet it's all there, but it's hazy. It's an impression of what it is. It's almost like, here's a great way to explain it. It's, you remember the first picture I showed you where you had your impression in the clay, the thumb? It's almost like the picture, what you're actually seeing has made an impression in your brain, and you're painting the impression. Does that make sense? I hope it does. This one has a little bit more lines, but it's very modern, very different than things that you would see from the other time periods. So, time periods. You have your modern, your impressionist. Your modern goes a lot of different directions, and we're going to probably won't talk too much about the modern, but we definitely want you to know the medieval, Renaissance, Baroque, classical, romantic. So we're going to be hitting those really hard, and that's what you do in 6th grade. We talk about musical time periods, and we're going to be doing lots of stuff with that. So I hope that you've got your listening ears on and you start listening to the little differences in the sounds, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the differences in sounds. I think that is so cool to think about a sound, something that goes in your ears, but your brain is thinking of it as in a whole concept that you can touch. So it's really cool, and you have to really think hard. It's why we do it in middle school. You're old enough to start understanding those things now and hearing those differences. So beware, because you're really going to have to put on your listening ears for this unit. Now, we will not be doing this unit all by itself. I'm always going to balance it out with other things. So we're going to beware, because it's going to be a little section in every unit that we do from here on for a while. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
The Baroque Period.
1600 to 1750.
Classical Period.
1750 to 1820.
Baroque was a fancy time. Bach was in his prime. The fancy Baroque period. Baroque was a fancy time. Bach was in his prime. The fancy Baroque period. Classical had balance and had poise, perfection, beauty, symmetry, not noise. Classical had balance and had poise, perfection, beauty, symmetry, not noise.
To 17.
Oops, sorry. We'll just say we sang it and we're going to go on. And we are finished. So, I hope all this is clear. I hope you've enjoyed listening to all this. I've enjoyed it. And I will see you next week. Don't forget that essay. Send it to me on your favorite family tradition. I don't care what time of year it's from. Doesn't have to be from a November or December holiday.